Good afternoon. It is Monday, August the 17th, 2020, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're calling the virtual meeting of the Bastrop Economic Development Corporation to order. We have a full dais with the exception of Jeff Aladania, so we are good to go on our quorums. Angela, I'm going to come to you first and ask if we have any public comments.
Can we do a roll call real quick?
I just checked and we don't.
We can. For a roll call, let's go ahead and start. Ron?
Ron Spencer here.
Connie Schrader?
Here.
Sam Kerr?
Yep.
Kevin Plunkett?
Hello.
And Charles Washington?
Here.
Catherine Nash is here. Did I leave anyone out? I think I have everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. All right, good. Once again, I'm going to come to you, Angela. Any public comments?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Okay, good enough. Let's get started. Regular business 3.1, approval of meeting minutes from the Bastrop EDC board meeting of July the 20th, 2020. They were on page 3 of our agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay.
All those approve?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. 3.2, acceptance of the Bastrop EDC financial summary report for period ending July 31st, 2020. Sam, did you have any comments to make on that? Okay, sounds good. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the financials. I'll second.
Thank you very much. All those approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Chair, could we just take a quick moment and be thankful that our sales tax has stood up, because there are communities that are not able to enjoy that, and that is a blessing that we should all be very thankful for.
Yes, very much.
Totally agree. I was so pleased to see that last report come through. Yeah, thank you. All right, 3.3, consideration, discussion, and possible action on presentation by Phil Loeb, owner of AEI Technologies, concerning the final rebate of the $9,333 on the property he purchased from the BEDC located in the Bastrop Business and Industrial Park, and the closing out of the performance agreement between the parties. There's a lot of information, of course, in our agenda, and we also received 2 documents about an hour ago. I'm not sure if you've had an opportunity to review them or not. But Mr. Loeb, I believe you want to provide a presentation. Is that correct?
Well, I don't have a formal presentation. I have a discussion. I suppose that would be, I guess the starting point is, it's my opinion that I believe I met all the requirements of the contract, and it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's completed, and I should be paid the rest of the reimbursement.
Okay, so that seems fairly straightforward, but I'm imagining it probably isn't. So we might want to unpack it a little bit. Cameron, why don't you give us an overview, since you're well-versed in the policy and the contract, and show us exactly where there may or may not be discrepancies between what that says and what Mr. Loeb is presenting, so then we can evaluate it fairly.
Correct. It's the contract requires 7 full-time employees to be employed for up to 12 months, which is at least under the contract 1,820 hours per year. And the 6th employee, Phil Loeb himself, requested that he be included as the 6th employee last year and sign an affidavit to that effect to receive his 6th distribution. So now he's requesting the distribution for the 7th full-time employee, and he has not had a full-time employee for the requisite 12 months, 1,820 years. Therefore, under Section 11 of the contract, the board can amend any portion of the agreement only by board approval. My position is that he has not had the full 7th employee for the full year, so he's not eligible under the terms. So I recommended he come to the board and request an exception and amendment to that.
Okay, so,
Cameron, the contract specifically says 7 full-time employees. It doesn't talk about total hours.
Yes, it does. And it defines,
I'm
and this
sorry,
is the agreement I had with Sean.
I'm sorry, I was asking Cameron. I'm sorry, Mr. Lowe.
Yes, sir. What was the question? Sorry.
Does the contract specifically say 7 employees, or does it talk about total hours, or does it do both?
Yes, it says you have to have 7 full-time employees, and then 1 full-time employee is defined verbatim as working at least 1,820 hours per year. And each operational year will begin from the date of the CO is issued, and then will begin for a period of 365 days continually repeating thereafter. And each obligation will then be measured by that operational year. And each FTE, quote unquote, must be maintained for 12 consecutive months after that first rebate is issued. New FTEs are added and eligible for rebate by the BEDC. And then failure to continuously employ any FTE at the project shall trigger reimbursement of the paid incentive funds. Quote, once employed, new FTEs must be continuously maintained for the full remaining term of the agreement, end quote.
And Mr. Lowe, you have a different view of that contract?
Right. Totally disagree. That's not what we agreed upon with Sean, and it's not what's in the agreement. The agreement has a full-time equivalent employee, it defines equivalent employees. So that term was added so that we can have any number of hours equivalent to that amount of hours, because it could be 2 part-time employees, it could be 3 people split up, however the hours add up to be 1,700 and whatever the number is. And that was the agreement we had, and I've met that requirement. Secondly, it says in the contract, and I don't know, I don't have it in front of me, it must have closed out on my screen, that the contract is fulfilled, the term of the contract ends when the 7th employee is created, not when they've fulfilled their one year requirement. And that was because it's a very onerous thing to put a requirement on, because if anyone quits or works part-time or takes leave of absence during that year, okay, then you're starting all over again. And this was my point, and why the contract was amended, okay, to include this provision.
do you have that, do we have on record that amendment?
It's in the contract.
No, the contract speaks for itself. I just quoted verbatim the contract, and the only amendment to this contract is Phil's affidavit and the board's agreement to make him the 6th employee last year. Those are the only documents. He claims to have a verbal agreement with Sean Kirkpatrick, but I have not seen anything in writing that speaks to that.
Mr. Lowe, do you have anything in writing?
No, we don't have anything in writing other than the contract. But I disagree with what the contract says and what we agreed upon. I'm in total disagreement with what Cameron said.
Well, Mr. Lee, this is Ron Spencer. Can you describe to us approximately how many hours your equivalent is that you are presenting, and and why you believe that accounts for the 7th FTE as well as the hours?
because what happened like last year was that my 7th employee stopped working full time for a short period of time. So therefore, if you look in the records, she's not putting, that one person isn't putting in the equivalent hours. But if you look at the total number of hours worked by my employees, by everyone in the company, it adds up to the total amount required under the contract.
Did you
For
hire another
equivalent
part-time-
employees, not for people, headcount, but for equivalent employees based on hours.
Did you hire another part-time employee to backfill that 7th employee when they couldn't work full-time?
I did. I got her to come back full time.
No, in the period that she wasn't working full-time, how did you manage the business? Did you hire another part-time employee?
No, we didn't. We didn't need to. It was just a short period of time that she wasn't there.
How long is a short period?
A few months. I don't remember the exact time. I'd have to look at the records.
Is she back full-time now?
Yes. And that's what it shows in the latest documents I presented. So for the last 6 months, I have had 7 full-time employees.
For the last 6 months you have?
Correct. Correct.
And it's supposed to have
According
12
to head
months.
count. So if you count head count employees, yes, I've had 7 full-time employees working 40 hours a week.
So the discrepancy is not just in the number of hours, it is also in the amount. You're saying that counts as soon as you hire them, not at the end of the 12-month where you've accumulated 12-month period. So those are the two pieces. You're counting the hours at the time they come on, as opposed to proof of point being hired for 12 months. Am I understanding that?
No, last year I had the equivalent number of hours after they came on.
For 6 people, correct?
That's on the 6 people. But we're now on the 7th people, 7th person, correct?
Well, the term of the agreement is 10 years, right? So if you had 7 people for 6 months, if you continue to do that 6 months forward, then you could come back in 6 months.
But I keep coming back to you guys every single time. This is getting very frustrating and very time consuming for me to be involved with this and to try to keep showing you the evidence, and the evidence you're requiring by Cameron is much more onerous than it's been in the past. So it's getting to be a burdensome for this company, and to try to keep up with this.
Is this more onerous,
Burdensome to
Cameron?
withhold a couple hours of your time? I'm trying to
All I
understand
asked
what
for
burdensome
was
is, because it doesn't seem like it really involved, I mean, I do record keeping, it doesn't sound like it would be that onerous a process. So we didn't, and one thing you gotta understand is this group did not sign the contract. We are trying to manage a contract that was done by a previous board, so we can only go by what is in the document.
And I guess that's part of the issue, that the people that I worked this out with are no longer here.
Well, that's why we have contracts.
Right.
That's why it has to say what exactly people expect it to say.
But the BEDC was helping me develop the contract, so I didn't need to hire a lawyer to do this thing. So
We're missing the amendment, which is a pretty critical piece.
It sounds
Cameron,
like
do you want- Cameron, you wanted to say something.
Yes, I didn't ask for onerous documents. I just asked for his workforce commission's unemployment tax quarterly report. That's it. There's one document.
Okay. And my
yes, for all
concern
the
was,
paychecks.
is this any more onerous than what we expect from other similar contracts? And I'm always concerned about precedent, setting a bad precedent moving forward where others come to us with these sorts of exceptions, even though we do understand you think there was an amendment, or you know there was an amendment, but we don't have any documentation of that amendment.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Connie. I think that once you have the 1,800 hours or whatever the number is, that you come back and we'll give you the money. Seems pretty clear cut to me.
Well, is there anything else you would like to offer, Mr. Lowe?
Not really. Nope.
Do we want to take into consider, this is for the board, do we want to take into consideration this request?
I make a motion not to accept the request and to follow the contract.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I want to second that with a caveat. However, I think that Mr. Lieb, that I think according to what Sam just said, it would be not that much onerous on you to come back when the 6 months time is up or the hours have been met and ask us again. I think that would show us that you had completed. I don't think we're asking you too much for that. So if you would come back whenever those hours have been completed, I think that would be fairly easy to accomplish.
But
So
the
that's
hours
just
were
kind of my-
completed at the end of last year, which I provided you the documentation for.
But last year was the documentation for you to be considered the 6th employee, not the 7th employee.
No, I sent an email to Cameron showing that with the 7 employees I had in 2019, their total hours worked for 2019 was greater than the equivalent hours required under the contract.
And my view is that that's not what the contract says. So when did the 7th employee get to the 1,800 and some odd hours?
It wasn't the contract isn't written, so each employee has to get to that hours. It's supposed to be equivalent hours.
It's supposed to be equivalent hours, but I think also the nature of the beast is that you were supposed to have 7 people. And there was a point in time where you had 6 people and other people were backfilling the 7th person because they were not there. So, I mean, we're trying to, I believe the intent of the contract was so that you would have 7 employees and they were earning money and, paying taxes.
Job creation.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the intent. No, that wasn't the intent of my agreement with John,
But that is
who was authorized
written,
to.
but that is the written agreement that we're reading.
So that's your interpretation of the contract.
Correct. I mean, Cameron, do you want to ask Robin for her interpretation of the contract and have her come back?
Not online. That's legal advice. I'll have that discussion with her offline.
That's what I mean, come back next month.
Yeah, you bet.
But I still think we would like an answer as to if we say no now, which I think we should, when would the 7th person have accumulated the proper number of hours?
My
Not
reading of the
till-
contract is after 1,820 hours has been achieved.
Right. So I think that's another 400 hours from what I think I read.
That's roughly 10 weeks from now. I don't think that's asking too much.
So, Madam Chair, I think you have a motion and a second.
Yes, I'm going to stick with my second on this, yes.
Okay, then all those approve of the motion that Sam proposed not to accept the prepayment of $9,333. All those approve?
I
All those opposed? It passes unanimously. We certainly welcome you to come back and present the full requirement of the contract as we have interpreted it. And if that's a short matter of 10 weeks, we're happy to hear you in 2 months or 2.5 months. Okay, moving on to 3.4. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on the presentation by Place Designers regarding a change order for the 921 Main Street project, approval of resolution R 2020-0019, approving the final guaranteed maximum final amount of $14,500, amending the existing agreement with Place Designers on page 39. Cameron, I'll turn it over to you for the celebratory explanation of why we have finally gotten to the end of this particular case.
Yes, thank you. And we are just under 10 weeks away from being done with our building. Yay! And this $14,500 gets us there with our architect. It pays outstanding invoices, and then this pays through the end of the project guaranteed. We were going back and forth for the last 3 weeks on a final amount. They're around 20,000, and then we had a very productive phone call on where the project was, some savings that have incurred, and they got us this final price of $14,500. So that way we can come within budget of the new budget that was approved. And this closes out our architect and our engineers, designers, and moves us forward within just paying out Sabre over the next 10 weeks.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
I just want clarification. When I read this and see GMP, I see that as guaranteed maximum price, correct?
That is correct. For the remaining work. And the reason for that, just so everybody knows, is because as we stated at the last meeting when we did our budget amendment for the project, this is a different project, and there was some additional water sealing and other items we needed to take care of to make sure we were good neighbors to Relics and 602. And part of these changes to make sure that those walls are going to be waterproof.
All right. Anybody else want to make a comment or a question? I'm sure somebody would like to make a motion on this.
I'll move to approve.
Second on resolution number 2020-0019. Okay, all those approve?
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes unanimously. All right, Jimmy, are you on? I think you are somewhere. Update 3.5 on 921 Main Street project by our project manager, our outstanding project manager, Mr. Jimmy Craig. It's all yours.
Jimmy,
I
you're
think
still on
you
mute. You're still on mute.
Yeah, me then.
Okay, how about that?
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, Cameron's doing all the hard part, so it's pretty easy over there for me. You just have to show up once a week. So the project's going really well. We did have some design issues with the panels, but all that's taken care of, and they'll actually be delivered next week. So all of the exterior walls can be being started put in not next week, but they'll arrive at the site next week and then installed the following week. We're going to present a plan to Trey Joe in the city to see about closing off part of that parking lot. So Kevin, you'll be thrilled about that presentation we want to do over there. But we feel like it's a safety item that we'd like to close off part of the parking lot in the back of the building, just so that we can. There's going to be a large crane, 150-ton crane at the back of the property, to install all those panels for the entire week. So we're going to present a plan for that, and if it doesn't work, then we'll work around it and just be a lot more careful with what Saber's going to be doing back there. But the big items that are coming up is those panels on the outside, so the building will get dried in. Within 3 weeks, we'll have the windows on site, so that'll be a big item to be put in. And then all the concrete's poured. Just to give you a construction update, I guess, all the concrete's poured in the first and second floor. They're making utility tie-ins at the back of the property, so the sanitary is finally getting put in, and the fire lines have been put in. On the inside that you can't see, I think they got all of the metal stud framing for all of the walls up today, and the fire protection overhead has been going in, and the electrical conduit and rough panels have all been put in. So they're really making really good progress on the building now. You won't be able to see it as much because it's all inside, but really good progress on the inside of the building now. Let's see, all of our permits are done. All of the revised drawings that we've had 5 change directives on the project, and that included those extra architectural fees that Cameron talked about in the last point. So all that stuff's been turned in and approved by the city. The budget, we're still within our budget. We ended up having about $268,000, give or take, of buyout savings. So we bought out or Saber did, bought out the contracts and had buyout savings just because they were bought out below budget. And then what we did with that was applied that buyout savings to the change orders that we had. So we're still under budget, even though we've increased the cost of the project from the original, and still have about $80,000 in contingency left. So we still have a contingency item to get us through the end of the job, and have done all the major changes to the building. Yeah, major changes to the building with the money that we had. So great work by everybody getting all that stuff done. And the roofing, I did mention the roofing. We took off half of Relic's building's roof and have got that dried in. I touched base with Richard Smarzak next door just to make sure the little rain we had last night didn't come inside of his building, and he gave us a thumbs up that it didn't. So we're in good shape on that too. I was kind of worried about ripping the roof off over the weekend, but we didn't have a leak, so all good news with that. I don't think I've got anything really else to share. Knock on wood somewhere, but the job is going really well. So kudos to Saber and the design team for everything that they've been doing. We did start a weekly phone call with the Art Institute just to coordinate all the data requirements, phone locations, electrical outlets, and furniture locations. So we've been having a weekly call on Mondays for that, and that's been very helpful. So it'll keep any unforeseen things with the Art Institute. At least everybody will know what's happening on the project, and hopefully no unforeseen things come up. So that's the report. Unless you guys have any questions with anything on it.
Cameron?
Jimmy, when are we going to let the SmartNets know that we're going to take their roof off?
We told them that we were taking their roof off.
That is not.
We got
Don't say things like that.
Yeah.
One question. Have we paid you
Yes.
on time, Jimmy? Are you getting your paycheck okay?
Yes, everybody's been getting paid. So I
right.
will say that I'm not the only one I'm the only one that hasn't gone up on their price yet. So It's coming, but I haven't gone up on any of my contract stuff yet.
Jimmy, this is Sam. Do you have a date when AI can start to think about moving their stuff in?
For the Art Institute, I'm not sure when they're going to move their furniture in. That they haven't really shared when they were going to do that. It'll be ready for them at the end of October. So I don't really know. Maybe Cameron, you know when the opening date for Art Institute is, or when they're going to start moving furniture. But it will be ready for them at the end of October.
I think it's going to be January
Yes.
before they have students in the building.
Correct. I've been in talks with them, and we're going to amend our lease. We've already spoke about it. That's going to be at the next board meeting for when that lease date's going to start.
Okay, that's what I was kind of getting at.
We're going to pretend it's the end of October and just keep on going.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Good
Well,
job.
if the lease hasn't started at the end of October, we should at least have a big party on there.
Yeah. I know where we'll have it at. Well, Kevin, if you don't mind, if you could text me your email and I'll include you on that update. I've told you I would send it to you, but I don't have your email address.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you so much. It's all good news. We're very excited.
Oh, I forgot. I did forget something. We're working with the city too on there's a new paving, that's going to go down on Main Street. So we're going to have to move our temporary sidewalk out in front. And we're just trying to coordinate that where we can move it for the couple of days during the actual paving and then move it right back afterwards. So we're working, that's our goal anyway, is to do that and then keep that temporary sidewalk out there, because I think it's very helpful for everybody downtown to access both sides without having to go around the back or something. So that is the plan for during the paving part, is to keep that open. So we'll try to do that for sure.
Deal.
Okay, great. Great, all right.
That's it.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, so we're actually going to table 3.6 and 3.7. Cameron, you want to just give us an update on when we're going to tackle those, if anybody hasn't opened up their latest email that it gave us the next date for our next meeting?
Correct. So the items for COVID, I think 3.6 is.
We're doing 3.6, aren't we?
Yeah, we're doing 3.6.
Well, but we don't have the list to approve.
No, 3.6 is Garner, Catherine.
Oh, I'm
Correct.
sorry. I'm so sorry. I wasn't reading. I was jumping ahead. Thank you, Mayor. 3.6. Yes, we definitely want to hear about this. Consideration, discussion, and possible action on Resolution R 2020 and 0020, approving a proposal by Garner Economics, addendum to the Economic Development Action Plan presented on January 15th of 2020, to conduct a study to, one, explore the possibility of automotive and related suppliers as a new target industry for the Bastrop EDC as they relate to the Tesla Gigafactory, and two, conduct an economic impact analysis of film production and soundstage development in the Bastrop area, and a total amount not to exceed $18,500. That's on page 60 of our agenda packet. Okay, Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. So, as we all know, Tesla is building their Gigafactory about 20 miles west of us. And as we all also know, but the public may not know, Jay Garner and Garner Economics did our strategic plan last year and presented it to us and City Council January 15th of this year. And part of that study is target markets and target industries that us as a city want to try and obtain and bring here to Bastrop. Well, that did not include the Tesla Gigafactory, because we didn't know about the Tesla Gigafactory at that time. And Jay Garner contacted me a couple of weeks ago when he learned about this to tell me, one, that there are some other cities around here that are doing a similar study. Two, that he's done studies for vendors and manufacturers for Toyota and Tesla before. And three, he would love to do it for us and do it as an addendum to the strategic plan that he already provided for us, which saves us costs and gives us his professional recommendation. And I spoke with him about our other plan and our other strategic plan of Film Bastrop, the Film Hospitality Capital of Texas designation, our cooperation of what we're wanting to do with the other economic development organizations here in our county, and the Film Bastrop Initiative. And Jay also lives down the street from Pinewood Studios in Georgia and has a depth of knowledge and expertise in what it takes to do successful film. So I asked him to provide a proposal. Kevin, do you mind putting yours on mute, please? Or somebody's echoing.
Yeah, mine's been on mute, so I'm not sure.
Okay, sorry. So he's going to provide both studies for Soundstage and for Tesla manufacturer suppliers at tier 2 and tier 3 levels that we can target to bring to both our industrial park as well as to some of the larger tracts of land outside in the county. And Gene, our wonderful project manager, has already been narrowing down and getting a spreadsheet together of some of those tracts that are up to 400 to 1,000 acre tracts that we clearly don't have in the city limits. So part of this study is to also expand our strategic plan from not just city only to a county only study on both the filming and on the Tesla Gigafactory, because that's where the land is and that's where we want to bring in the industries into the county, the ETJ, and into the city limits itself. Specifically, in a perfect world, our industrial park. So that will be part of the component as well. And so that's what he's proposing to us. That's what's in the packet. And that's what I'm asking for you to approve is that amount of $18,500 total for both of those studies.
Cameron, I got a question for you. And I unfortunately wasn't present at the January meeting when y'all went over the strategic plan all the way. I think I had gone out of country. Is Garner going to provide the actual names of the suppliers or the names of the folks in the supply chain that we would contact in hopes to move here? Or is he just going to give us a kind of a wide open, we need to talk to a whole bunch of people? I mean, is going to be, how specific on the Tesla issue is Garner going to get?
It's going to be like our strategic plan where he provides the overview on how to attract that core market, that target market of what it is, and then provide examples of who some of those might be, like he did with the Education Texas State Technical College. That's how he's going to present it to us. But it's defining that market and how we can go after that market, which is important because right now we don't know where that market is and who that market is.
Do you have information that tells you that he has A, done this before or with Tesla or another car manufacturer, or B, that he actually has direct contact with the right companies that are involved in this?
Yes, he provided us with his summary that's in the packet of his experience and what he plans to do and his phase for doing that. His history, he helped with the Toyota plant and the vendors and the manufacturers and suppliers for that. That's his history with the manufacturer and automotive supplier.
I mean, the amount is not that large. I'm just being a consultant in that business. You know, a lot of people talk about grand ideas, but it's just a kind of a, y'all should do this and do that, but they're not real specific. So I'm just trying to make a question, if you will, that is there enough specificity in his project, his proposal, that's really going to give us the names of the people that we actually need to talk to and send out our marketing information?
So I'm going on his expertise and what he presented to us in January. And like I said, you weren't there, but his report, I can forward that to you if you haven't read through it. It is super specific, and what he brings to the table is a very defined market. And I'm based upon what he's already provided to us. I don't need to question him further for this to add to that.
Cameron, I think the point Ron's trying to make is how do you get to the next level? Because I don't think from the report that Gardner's going to give us, it is going to be some specificity, but not the specificity that I think Ron's looking for. So how do you take it to the next level on a particular industry like this?
What Jay brings to the table is how do we prepare ourselves in the best way possible to attract those businesses, not who are those businesses to go harpoon and fish for. It's how do we get our boat and our fishermen ready so that way when we are in the waters, we can catch the fish. That's what Jay brings to the table. So I think to answer Ron's question, he doesn't provide us with the businesses to go after. He provides us with how to make our product the best in the county and the city so that way we can attract that area and that market for auto manufacturers. I think if that answers your question.
So it's like a 10,000 foot view instead of a 1,000 foot view.
It's both. It just doesn't tell you who's on the ground.
Jean's giving you the finger, so maybe she's got something to say.
Well, I just want to give a quick example, if I may. So, Ron, you need to look at it. So, Cameron didn't hire him to provide us leads. He provided us, or his goal is to provide us exactly what Cameron said, how to position ourselves. And here's an example of how that would look. So one of the things, and the reason why I've been working on identifying land sizes and larger pieces of land is because many of these manufacturers need million, 2 million, 3, 4, 5 million square feet. We don't currently have that in our city limits. So that's a small piece of this picture that Jay is going to paint for us. Like what type of properties we need, what type of infrastructure those properties need to have, and can we provide that, and things like that. So it's helping us understand how to fit, because our original strategic plan did not focus on the automotive industry. Matter of fact, it didn't include it at all. It talked about manufacturing and advanced manufacturing, but not specifically to the automotive industry. And so what Jay is doing is defining where that box fits within our community and how we can position ourselves to attract those businesses.
Like how much education is required.
Right.
Things like that.
Well,
I think go ahead, Rob.
I would imagine that it's also going to, well, I'm going to assume that it's also going to talk about the infrastructure that is needed to support that type of supply chain. With intermodal transportation and, that kind of stuff, because you have to have all that in order to attract those types of businesses.
Yes.
I agree.
Okay.
One of the other things I was thinking is that since Tesla is on a fast path, is there a group like Austin who already has an understanding of what suppliers they need and where they need them to be in 2 years? Because we don't have a whole lot of time to actually bring people in and start selling.
That's correct. That's why I'm bringing this to you guys within 30 days of the announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is there another group? Is this? I can't remember the name of the group in Austin. That's kind
Opportunity
of
Austin, yes, we're working with them. Yes.
Have you guys met with them to understand what the Tesla requirements are, to see what we think we could bite off in terms of timing and size?
So all of this works in conjunction with everything that Cameron has discussed with you guys already. The spreadsheet that we've put together is being shared with Opportunity Austin. They are packaging it to send to national brokers and site selectors that specifically work in that industry, along with everybody else in the region that may have property that could support a supplier as well. And so, yes, that kind of definition of need is already being defined by a larger group than us.
Okay. So we're kind of running in parallel. We're giving Dave his opportunity, Austin, so that we can stay in the picture. And then we're going to hire Garner to try and help us with basically with the marketing approach on how we're going to sell it to when we get some good nibbles.
So I froze up, so I missed some of this conversation, but I have a question. I don't know if it was asked or not while I was pedaling around.
Was that you going for timeout, the thises and the thats's and all that stuff? Okay.
So when you started, Cameron, you were saying that Jay had contacted you and said that others in the area were, looking at this sort of thing. Is he doing this for anybody else in the area? Has anybody else hired him to do this?
He's doing one for Lockhart. Yes.
Yeah.
So they're going to get the same information we're going to get, but he's going to get 2 paychecks, one from them and one from us.
I don't know what their financial or contractual relationship is or the depth of their study. I can't speak for them, but he is, and they are employing him, is what I was told. Yes.
Well, I would have to believe that the size of this project, Tesla, is going to encourage almost everybody in the I-35 corridor from San Antonio all the way up to Georgetown to get involved in something along these lines, because it is that large. And when you've already got Toyota down in San Antonio and you've already got super large warehousing districts already for Amazon and others in San Marcos and that whole corridor, I'm sure there's just tons of people that are looking at this as an opportunity. So I have no problem getting the initial information and seeing what we can do, if we can do anything, because we're a little bit farther away than some of the other folks. But I just fully believe that there's going to be a lot of competition, a lot of people, a lot of communities looking at what they can do to get a piece of this as well.
Yeah. One of the things I want you guys to keep in mind is the fact that Cameron brought up that we're not just doing this for the city limits of Bastrop, we're doing this for Bastrop County. And that is one of the pieces that a lot of those other communities along I-35 don't have the ability to do. They don't have access to the type of properties that we have access to that are as close to Tesla that we currently provide. And so we're trying to evaluate our positioning from that standpoint. We have super ease of accessibility, and we'll have even easier accessibility to the Tesla plant than pretty much anybody else. It's currently 20 miles from basically where you exit at Chestnut to their site, and it's 11 miles from our county line.
And exactly where is their site right now? Is it on the corner of 130 and 71?
Sort of. It's just up. It's just north of that.
Harold Green and 130.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I've seen the construction. I thought that's what it was. Okay.
Yes.
But I think if I'm understanding it all correctly, part of what we're trying to do is this middle of the road. There's all these leads, there's all these suppliers, but there's no point in going after a supplier if we don't have the right infrastructure for it. So where are the shortages? What can we, working with the city, getting a grant, whatever, can we come up with some of those shortages, or of what we have, who are the better ones to go after? I thought that's really what we're trying to get from Garner. So that would be specific to the community. So I would think that's, I don't think he's collecting 2 paychecks, but this is not a tremendous amount of money. So I think there's some shared knowledge, but it's got to be community specific, or it's not gonna, neither community's gonna pay him anything, right? Whether it's the industrial park, access to 71, do you want to live in Del Valley, downtown Austin, or Bastrop? I know what I would pick. So, and some of those suppliers are going to want 2 million square feet, but not all the suppliers are going to need that size. And quite frankly, and Ron, you know this, some software suppliers and other things, as you get farther down the food chain, they may be a perfect fit for pieces of property that we have. And that was my understanding of what we were trying to do, was to etch out where Bastrop County's position could be, and the city of Bastrop position could be, compared to every Tom, Dick, and Harry town between San Antonio and Georgetown.
I agree with that. I agree with that, Mayor. I think that's the right approach to take on it. I'm just, I'm just saying, like everybody already knows, that there's just going to be a lot of competition for any kind of piece that any of the communities up and down the whole corridor, whether it's 71 or 35, can get a part of. And my only other thing was that whatever it is, it's going to have huge intermodal capabilities with both freeway and with railroad, because any car manufacturer moves on railroads. I mean, you see the railroad going on 79 every single day. They have probably 100 cars, railroad cars full of car chassis. And that's just how typically a lot of the intermodal transportation operates for car manufacturers specifically, is by rail.
Well, I think we're just trying to make sure that we make, and this may be a bad analogy, and I don't want to make Jean mad, but we want her to help her be one of the prettiest girls at the dance, so her dance card gets filled up. That's what we're really.
Absolutely. Okay. Good deal.
Well said, Mayor. Well said.
Well, that kind of makes us ready for a vote, I think.
Well, no, because I want it. There's two pieces to this, right? There's the film side as well.
And the
Oh,
film
that's true. We did have to talk about that.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
You wanna-
And I had concerns because there's some references to New Republic Studios, and we know that that's no mas.
Well, that goes into the study. So the film study is different and is going to look at totally different components than the auto manufacturer gigafactory study, because Jay's going to hone in specifically. He stated incentives are what drive studios, and where movies, studios go and film, and sound stages, they go and rent, almost exclusively depends on what that state, what that city, what that county offer in incentives and tax breaks. And so he's going to look at Bastrop and Bastrop County and how we compete around the U.S. In sound stage and studio development, whether that's anywhere in Bastrop County, New Republic Studios or whatever. And so that way we can see where we are positioned and what we need to do to strengthen that, whether that's at regulation in Austin or local ordinance county regulations we can control here. That's where the area of emphasis on that study is going to be. And that's
countywide as well.
That's countywide as well. Yes, Mayor.
And both things together are for the 14.5.
18.5 for both total. Yes, correct.
They're just two different timetables. The auto is sooner, and there's a longer period for him to deliver the film.
Correct.
Okay.
Are we ready for a motion?
Well, if I don't hear any more questions, anything else? Comments, questions? Take it away.
Make a motion to accept R 2020.
Second.
All those approved?
Aye.
Anybody oppose? No, passes unanimously. Great. Right. Now 3.7 and 3.8 are going to be tabled. So Cameron, you want to give us the date of when we're going to get information and talk those through?
That is correct. So we are set with the city's calendar for Wednesday, August the 26th at 3 p.m. for 2 hours until 5 p.m. virtually to do exclusively our COVID grant for this third round. We're going to need to go in executive session for probably about half of that, because these are still projects, so we can have confidential discussions about them. There's some legal things we'll also need to discuss with Robin about, and I'll get with her beforehand and discuss those. And then we also have a host of businesses that I'm still communicating with, still working with on getting additional information. So to keep going with the mayor's analogy, this fruit's not ripe on the vine yet. So let's wait till the 26th when we can take it down and discuss it.
Okay.
All right, is everybody available on that day? Does anybody have a conflict?
I have a conflict.
No problem.
Super, okay. All right,
Well,
3.9, Cameron, you got,
Chair, if I may, just so the public knows, I want to make sure to add to this that this delay doesn't change the distributions because the city council still has to approve of the grants in 2 readings, and that's going to occur on the 25th. They've already approved it in the first reading on the 11th, so the second reading will be the 25th, and so therefore we couldn't distribute that money anyway. So and we'll be meeting then that very next day to vote and then request distributions accordingly. So the public won't receive any delay, and the businesses won't receive any delay. Stands for 24 hours for us moving this meeting.
And on the board, on the staff reports, it says that council will be considering that on August 24th, but our council meeting is the 25th. Just so everyone's clear. It's the 24th is Monday, and I know that's when y'all are used to the BDC meetings, but the council meeting's the 25th. I don't want the public to think that we've moved the council meeting.
Hey, I just want to let you guys all know too that I am working on getting an access code and getting everything set up for the GoTo meeting for that August 26th meeting. So as soon as I have all of that, I will send out an invite to everybody to have it on your calendar.
Great. All right. CEO updates on Downtown Trail Project, BEDC website and analytics, COVID-19 grant help around the state, and election of board officers at the regular board meeting on September 21, 2020.
All right, so this is going to be a regular thing now moving forward. I'm going to have some updates for you guys, and I'm going to include in that our web analytics updates on projects, specifically the Downtown Trail Project. Where we're at on that is we got our bid in from Bowman at the end of July. $610,909 will be the total cost of that project. And just so you, the board knows, and as the public knows, the EDC is funding all of the engineering cost on this, but then the rest of the project is being paid for with a grant. And because the city and the EDC and our predecessors and this board had a great forethought, and our team, Angela, Jean, and Kathy, we were able to get all of this done ahead of TxDOT's bridge. So that saved the city and us a lot of money. And then getting that grant clearly saved us a lot more money, so we didn't have to pay for much of it. And then just so you know, and the public knows, Bowman Construction is also who the EDC has hired to do the bidding on that. So they're going to bid the project out and hire whoever it is for that price to finish it for us. So I am so thankful for that. So that way I don't have to manage another construction project. Thank you guys. Any questions over the trail project before I move on? All right. Our website. So this is really neat. We are now up and operational as of end of May, beginning of June. And so the company we hired, Golden Shovel, has a unique set of analytics and web tracking software that we've utilized that goes above and beyond what most Google Analytics, and that's what my wife does. She was actually super impressed and has been on all my calls, secretly listening to make sure the company we hired knows what they're talking about, and she approves of them, which is nice. And if she's watching this video right now or watching us live, thank you. Golden Shovel has software that tracks and provides us with data. And to what Ron was talking about earlier, targeting these industries, once we get this report from Gartner and we start advertising and selling us as a Tesla supplier and as a county and a city that's ready for development for that, we'll be able to see who of those suppliers are contacting us, looking at our website, and then Gene can target them and go catch that fish specifically. And as you'll see on our analytics, we can see specifically what pages are being visited on each day. We have alerts set up so that if a target industry visits any one of our pages, and that's a business that has X number of employees that's in IT, medical, precision manufacturing, any type of those businesses that visit our website, we immediately get an update and an email that company visited our website, and we can then contact them and work with them to figure out why they're looking at our page, what's their interest, and what can we do to better accommodate them if they want to move here. And then it also breaks down the areas and the industries and the targets within those industries. So we can see since our last meeting of July 21st, the biggest viewer of our page is government and political organizations. IT and consulting and medical logistics are low. They combine for about 15%, but that's roughly 60-70% of our target industry. So now that we have this data available, we can figure out why we have deficiencies and go after those industries and increase their viewership, which in turn, and interest in our website in turn provides interest in maybe moving here and setting up shop in Bastrop. Any questions over our analytics and how we're approaching this?
I'm just curious about something. And maybe I didn't read the entirety of it, but it appeared to me that there were more cities and government agencies that were looking at the web page versus interested parties. I mean, like companies, I guess I should say. So
That's correct.
Is that what we're finding? Is that we're being looked at by a whole bunch of different cities?
That's correct. And it may have to do with my next presentation, which is all the COVID grant relief. We've been sending that out over the last 2 months to basically 34 different cities and EDCs and organizations. And those are ones that we know about. And I've also presented to the TEDC for a webinar, and that was on their website and shown to a little over 100 other cities. And so I'm imagining that those are landing at our COVID and our grants page. And so a lot of those cities are reaching out to us for our COVID grant. And that's what I think that's from. That's a good observation.
Okay. It's nice and all. I just don't know what it does for creating businesses and jobs here, but it's nice to have people look and try to find out how we're doing and how successful we are.
Well, I'll give you an example. So if we get a lead from Opportunity Austin that a business is looking to relocate at a site, well, that site's on our website. In the next 24 hours, we see who's looking at that site. It gives us a better idea of who our target is for that. And that goes across the board for any business looking at our site. It actually defines the market specifically, and we now know exactly who that business is and why they're looking at our site and for what. And if we don't know and we need additional questions, Jean is perfect at that, and she gets that done with efficiency. She usually knows these businesses already, and specifically, oh yeah, I must have been at my site selection when I did the virtual Chicago one. Industries was there from Philadelphia and Pennsylvania, so that may have been why this one company specifically was looking at our site and looking at Jean's stuff specifically. So it gives us very detailed information.
Very good. Thank you.
I'm really happy that other people are looking at us, and I think there will be times when they do, especially when we do great things, and there's a lot of press around we've done for the businesses and COVID. That could easily die down next month because we're not out there sharing what we're doing. But I would like to think that people think that our website is well worth looking at. I think I've lost y'all again.
No, we're here.
Okay. All right. Okay. Next. I think you've got more.
You're muted.
I got the answer. Cities are looking at us because of our publications in the newspaper for our COVID grants. That's the link that's sending them to us. So there you go.
Right, thank you.
All right, Cameron, I think you have more.
Okay. Go back up.
Tales from the front line.
Hey, yeah, so I'm presenting at TEDC's annual conference in October. Sorry, I had to scroll back up to talk about our grant program. And in the packet, we've been able to help directly 34 different organizations with that grant program. It's going to be Tales from the Front Lines, but I'm going to change my section to Tales from the Lost Pines, and I'll roll with that. So, for obvious reasons. That's going to happen October 5th through the 9th, and Angela is also attending that with me and is attending the TEDC Leadership conference as well. So thank you, Angela, and kudos. Good job.
Just
And
make sure you bring a pine cone.
Pardon?
Just make sure you bring a pine cone.
Yes.
A silver pine cone.
Yes.
A silver, do you have some earrings that are silver pine cones, Angela? Can you get a tattoo before then?
Thank
I actually hopeless. I'll run and get it if you want to see it.
So I had a really important question before I started losing it. Let's see. It's not going to be virtual. It will be in person. Is that what you said?
It's virtual. No, it's a virtual conference.
Oh, it is virtual. Okay.
That's correct. I bet if anyone from Relics is watching, they can do a silver.
There you go.
The necklace. All right. So last up, board officers. We have to elect officers at our next meeting in September. If you would like to be considered for an officer position, go ahead and email us, and I'll let you can email me, and I'll let Catherine know. And then that way, if she wants to reach out and have discussions with you beforehand, that would be great. If you're currently an officer and you wish to remain one, let me know. And if you're currently an officer and you wish to not remain one, feel free to let me know. And if you want to go ahead and have that discussion, now we can't vote, but you can ask me some questions about it and have discussion about that item right now if you would like.
Cameron, one thing I'd like to share with everyone is that the applications were technically due on the 14th, but look, she's got her mask with her silver pine cone. Applications are coming in, and I've gotten a couple of really good applications for BEDC. So if you are up for renewal and haven't gotten your stuff in and are thinking about it or whatever, just let us know if you haven't got it in and you're wanting to. We have a cutoff date because we interview people that are new to boards or new to wanting to be on boards, and we also have an opportunity for folks that are going to be doing continued service for them to talk to council and give any feedback if they have any feedback. But we try to get them interviewed in August so I can make appointments in September so that they are good to go with the new fiscal year on October 1st. So I'm fine with the officers in September because most likely you're not going to elect an officer, someone who's just starting in October. And I know that we're trying to get the officers in place for October, but I do want y'all to know that we've got a couple of really good candidates, one particular good candidate for BEDC. But if you've got friends that you think would like to serve on a board or whatever, we're always interested in applications because things happen throughout the year. People move or they have personal circumstances change to where they can't serve anymore. So we're always looking to engage our citizens on the boards.
Connie, how many positions are being up for renewal or for placement?
That's a really great question. Really great question, Chair. But across the city of Bastrop, it's around about a third of 14 boards. But specific to BEDC, legislatively from the state, you guys know that the terms are 2 years. But all of the other boards, the terms are 3 years. So for the BEDC board, 4 people are up 1 year, 3 people are up the next year. We're on a little faster turnaround.
So we have 3 or 4 this time?
3.
3.
3.
Okay. The 3 year.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Oh, look at that.
She found her silver pine cone. All right.
All right.
Masks.
I got nothing.
I can get a tattoo if you want. It won't be where you can see it.
Oh,
Okay.
Anyway, Cameron, any update on the grant?
I'm sorry?
Anything on the grant is what Sam asked.
On the grant for
Yes, we're still we're still working through the final studies and paperwork for that. That's happening this month, and it'll be applied at the end of this month, 1st of September.
And Cameron, you can, give me the King's X if I'm not allowed to talk about this, but we had talked about the budget and we're talking about finaling things up. Did you get contacted by Combined Community Action or not for this year?
Yes, and we were able to help them this year. Yes.
Okay, because I'm trying to, then that means they can come off of the city list. That's why I was asking.
Good question. No, thanks for asking.
Thank you. That's awesome that we were able to help them. And you might want to tell the board a little bit about what they do. It's really awesome.
Yeah, so they provide workforce training, specifically GED training to help high school students with GED, and then post high school certifications and training. And they need a place and some financing to help with their rent, and we're able to do it. We have it in our budget, as the mayor said. It's under the limit for $10,000, so it doesn't need board approval. We have the ability to do it under workforce training and development. It's already budgeted for this year. We have a little bit left since we didn't have our big bash in April. We have plenty of money to help them out. So thank you, Mayor, for sending them my way. And yes, we're going to be able to help them out and get them in a place and help them with their rent for workforce training and development, which works perfect for our grant program. And I talked about that as well, that if we do get the 402 technology, that we'll be able to work with them and get them in a space over there as well. So
they also help some of our families with English as a second language to help them finish their GED. So it's just good all the way around to try to help make sure some folks get as good at paying jobs as they possibly can.
And their organization falls right in line with our strategic plan and what we're organized to do as legally specifically for workforce training and development. So I'm really thankful that they're in our community.
Good stuff.
Great, thanks. All right, I think we have come to the end. I think we've come to a wrap. I'm sure somebody would like to make a motion to adjourn. Me too. Anybody else?
Second.
All right, guys. We'll talk next week, right? Next week is the 26th.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So see you on Wednesday at 3:00.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Washington.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for everything. Being patient with me.
All right. See you later.
Take care.